I want to talk about some ways that I think we're hearing a lot of half-truths and speculation about the best ways to do generative engine optimization, or GEO. And in particular, I think we should get away from guessing and start testing. Before we even get into that though, GEO, I mean, I don't love it either, but I think I prefer it to the alternatives. And, AI, SEO, LLM, SEO all start sounding a little bit Old MacDonald Had a Farm. So for now, I've settled on calling it GEO. But what are we talking about here, really? So when we think about a large language model and how it can help you with questions that previously might have been searches, we need to think about two key elements. The first is that it has some knowledge, perhaps in inverted quotes, that it learned during its training phase. This is, at least in the current technology, fixed in the model and somewhat limited. And there is reason to believe that the direction of travel is actually that they want more intelligent models that maybe have less built-in knowledge. The other element is, during the conversation, getting real-time, up-to-date, relevant information based on the conversation that you're having with the large language model right now. I like to think of it as being piped in, and this knowledge is, in the jargon of the large language models, RAG, so retrieval augmented generation. And retrieval means that it can go and find the information it wants and use it to augment the generation of the answer that you need. And I think influencing this RAG is the primary opportunity for e-commerce GEO. It's where up-to-date price information, offers, stock levels, reviews, information about what is the latest model even. All of these things we know from Google's experience over the last decades are crucial for user experience in search and discovery. And when you think about the timelines between the training of a model and the conversation that you're going to have with it, you don't want the outdated information that was baked in at training time. And this gives us quite a lot of opportunity. The primary source of RAG that we're going to be influencing is what are called fan-out queries. And this is the idea that when you go and start a conversation, so I've given the example here of a prompt where I say, I want the best hiking boots for a trip to the Swiss Alps in the spring, where I'll be walking around 10 miles a day. This wouldn't make a great old-fashioned search query. There's unlikely to be a specific page perfectly answering this question. And so what happens instead is that the model goes and performs a whole load of different queries to tease out the different bits of the answer and piece them together into the information that you need. Some examples, and these are just made up, could be spring weather in the Swiss Alps, trail conditions, best hiking boots for wet rock and mud, getting into the pros and cons of different kinds of hiking boots, or even specific different models. And pulling all of this together is the real strength of the large language model. So all of these things feed in, and if we rank better for any of them, and if we rank for more of those fan-out queries than we maybe did before, or if we're more compelling in the information we provide, we have an opportunity to be more likely to be recommended, or more highly recommended, or more compellingly recommended. And what they get, we don't know the details here, but they get somewhere between a list of URLs that they have to flesh out and visit themselves, or potentially even full page content. We don't really even know. And it probably varies between the different providers. In particular, I think there's a very good chance that Google, in their Gemini model and in AI mode, is piping in full page content from the Google cache. We don't know that for certain. And so when we think about testing, in SEO testing, we have certain things that are the same and pass over into GEO testing. So the core mechanism, the fact that we have control pages, variant pages, we forecast the performance and we compare real performance to forecasted performance. And our testing ground, the fact that we're testing on product listing pages, product detail pages, those are the same. The key difference when it comes to GEO testing is that we're almost testing against the user journey as a whole, because while we don't know and user behavior is evolving, it seems likely that these fan-out queries replace a whole load of individual queries that a user might have done. And we get to test more against the later stage, lower funnel clicks that come at the end of that process after we've gathered all of that information. We've talked in the SEO world about determining whether something is a valid SEO hypothesis based on whether we have a hypothesis that it's going to target new keywords, rank better for existing keywords, change the appearance of the search results, and get a different click-through rate. In the GEO world, that expands slightly in quite analogous ways. So are there new keywords that we get to target that are potential fan out queries? Can it improve rankings in those fan out queries? Are we potentially influencing the information that will get returned to the LLM in the RAG? And is the page improved in ways that helps the LLM either recommend you more highly, more confidently, or in a more compelling way? Yes to any of these things makes it a valid GEO hypothesis. The first three, I would say, are very similar to their SEO equivalents. Targeting new keywords, ranking better, essentially improved click-through rate. And then we have the final one that is maybe more like traditional CRO. It's about page improvements that make the page more compelling, but in this case, to the LLM. This last one is particularly interesting because there's so much more going on behind the scenes once the LLM gets access to the pages. And remember that we don't know what that access looks like, and it varies for different models. So the access that ChatGPT might have might be different to Claude, might very likely be different to Gemini. As I say, I think it's quite likely that Gemini is going direct to the Google cache. It seems likely in particular that many of the others do not get to execute JavaScript. So that's just a tactical thing to bear in mind. And so we can put together our hypotheses for product detail pages, for product listing pages, and the case I'm trying to make, the argument I want to have, is to say, instead of guessing, let's start testing.